A lot of people believe that net neutrality legislation is necessary to stop companies limiting speeds to certain websites and controlling how you use the internet. I'm going to present a case to give you a few reasons why net neutrality legislation is unnecessary. The first reason is the common law. Fraud is already illegal under the common law, so if you have a contract with an internet service provider saying that they're going to provide you internet access, and it doesn't say in the contract that they're going to deliberately limit the access to certain websites, then they may be committing fraud and they may be liable. Why is legislation going to affect something if it's already illegal under the common law? Another reason is a choice of the free market. You as a consumer can choose a different provider if your current provider isn't giving you what you pay for, or isn't giving you a good deal. Now, you might live in a country like the United States or in Mexico where certain companies have limited area monopolies, such as Comcast, Megacable here in Mexico. In those areas, okay, you have to use a certain company if you have a fixed line, but you still have the option of using mobile internet services. Even if it's a little slower, you still have the option. If it's important to you to get the data quickly from a certain website, then that may be a better option. And so you, as a consumer, have the power to exert influence on large companies. Another important thing is the Great Firewall of China. I have a lot of students in China, and sometimes, just to talk to me, they have to bypass the Great Firewall of China. They have to use a VPN, a virtual private network in another country, to bypass their government's block on the internet. Why can't you do the same if your internet service provider decides to block a certain website? You can encrypt the data using a VPN, so your internet service provider won't know which data you're transmitting or receiving, and that way you can bypass the block. If people in China can bypass the block that the entire government has set up, what's stopping you from bypassing a block that an internet service provider sets up? The other technological solution is called a mesh net. A mesh net is like a network of networks. Now, using the internet right now, you probably have a speed somewhere between 2 megas and 20 megas, 20 megabits per second. But your router has the capability of sending and transmitting about 50 or 250 megabits per second. If you're in a metropolitan area, you probably have about 5 or 10 routers within transmission distance of your router. Now, these routers are already equipped with the hardware that they need. The infrastructure is already there to connect them together, creating a network of networks, high-speed internet that is free from government control and completely free of charge. Networks like this have already been set up in countries like Ghana, certain African countries. Before they had mainline access to the internet, they would have their own mesh nets in those countries. Taking a guess, I think that in about 5 years this will be a common technology and we won't have to worry about internet service providers or any influence they can exert on us ever again. But the main reason not to support net neutrality legislation is because you don't want political power over something which should be free. If you've been paying attention to the technology sector over the last 5 or 10 years, you notice there have been many cases in the United States where the government has made a grab for power over the internet. Things like CISPA, PIPA. In Australia, they had a censorship bill where the politician would accuse people of pedophilia if they didn't support his bill. These type of things happen all the time because governments are always trying to grab more power over the flow of information. Power corrupts. You're probably aware that a lot of politicians in your country are corrupt. They're subject to special interests. They don't pay attention to the needs of the people. If they have the power to control the internet, what's stopping them abusing that power? Do you really want someone that you've never met having that power over the flow of information? Information should be free. Press like, press subscribe. My name's Kurt Robinson. Thank you for listening.